Welcome everybody to the PK Sportscast. It's your boy Johnny C here with the new gang again. Got Ross Benavidez, Tanner Smith, and Dom Cavett. How's it going, fellas?
Pretty good.
A bad day to be a Busch Light.
Hey, you already know.
Hey, you know what it is though? It's a great day to be a Cowboys fan. Let's go. Thank you. Bad day to be a Busch Light. Great day to be a Boys fan.
We'll come back to that. Don't you worry about it. But we're gonna go ahead and jump right into scores for the week. Week 1, went about as you expect. It was a little sloppy and all over the place. So for the first game, we went 0 for 10. Everybody thought the Chiefs were going to win. Let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Detroit comes into Kansas City, wins 21-20. Dom, I'm going to throw it to you first, man. What were your thoughts on that game?
I plead the fifth. No, man, it was just one of those, man. I really wasn't worried about it going into the Chiefs game. I mean, going into it without Chris Jones, but going into it knowing we weren't going to have Trav, I was like, yeah, I was worried about the offense, honestly. But I was pleasantly surprised with how the defense showed up. You know, they gave up 2 scores, and without the top 3-5 best player, defensive player in the league. So I was happy with that. But yeah, man, it was a rough one.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. Patrick Mahomes had a decent game. He came out, he threw for 21 and 39, 226, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Jared Goff, 22 for 35, 253 and a tutty, no picks.
Yeah. I think another important stat to bring up, Kadarius Toney, 1 catch for 1 yard. Sky Moore, 0 catches for 0 yards. Like, those are your top 2 guys, right?
I think Sky Moore is more concerning than Kadarius Toney because Toney didn't go to training camp, so he's not fresh. He hasn't played real football yet, and he still got open. I mean, his routes looked decent. He was getting himself open. He just couldn't catch the ball. Sky Moore was not there at all. Nothing. You didn't hear his name. Nothing. Rashee Rice looked promising, though, too.
I think he looks good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully
no.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I liked what we saw from Rashee Rice. I wish, obviously we all wish that we would have had some more catches, less drops, but I really wish they would have implemented Ross in a little bit more, especially with all the drops that we were seeing. Sky Moore couldn't get any separation. I really thought we were going to see a little bit more from him, but overall, man, defense shut us down and wide receivers missed where they had chances. You know what I mean? And I hate to put it on one guy. I won't freak out like they did on Twitter and say cut Kadarius Toney or anything like that. But he created a 10-point swing on his own. Let's just go ahead and say it. Like he definitely missed on easy winnable situation at the end of the fourth quarter. Like that was the first down that we needed. Sky Moore had on the very next play, same thing, just hits his hands and falls right out, man.
Yo, I don't want to interrupt, bro, but I just got a notey that Aaron Rodgers is hurt.
What?
Yeah, fuck Aaron Rodgers. For real.
I like how Tanner's camera went off. Yeah, check real quick.
That's not good for the parlay, brother.
Oh, video.
No. Yeah, so if it's not obvious, we are not watching the game, but we are live during the game right now for Monday night.
That's not good for the money line.
Well, I did have Buffalo winning 34-14. We'll get to that later. But
damn.
I'm gonna go and say that. That's messed up.
Like hurt?
How hurt though? He's not like.
I don't know, bro. People are saying like, what happens if he doesn't come back to the parlay? Like I searched his name on Twitter.
That's what people are saying, or that's what you typed in?
Nah, man.
Oh, his leg got caught underneath him.
Somebody said I pray it's not an Achilles. I don't know.
Oh shit.
We need Dusty to get on this.
That bad.
He's the athletic trainer.
That's messed up, man.
Damn.
Yeah, we need Dishman on this one.
Yeah, that would be the one. So also going back to the Chiefs game though, but MVS only 2 targets.
I
Like,
thought about
What
I
that
feel like
the?
too.
he should have more than 2. More
I'm
than Noah
I
Gray.
wondered if maybe the defense honed in on him a little more since he's their veteran guy. But yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
he's got to be one to step up and kind of be that consistent go-to guy there. If nobody, especially when Travis isn't in.
yeah. That
Yeah.
really hurt them with Travis. I mean, it's just like he looked discombobulated on 3rd down. Like, it's so hard to get. Those guys need to know how to get open on 3rd down because that's what
Well,
Travis is bred
last
on.
year that was a Jerick McKinnon area. I
That's
mean,
true.
he was your 3rd down guy. He was your red zone touchdown guy, and he had 1 catch
Yep.
right there in the first quarter, and that was it.
I just man, I'm not. I've been. You guys know that I've been high on Sky Moore, and I'm not ready to give up on him yet, man. I really think that in terms of you look at the Chiefs' offense, where there's room for a guy to excel, it's in the Juju role, and I think that you're seeing them. You try to use Sky Moore across the middle and everything, but I feel like that whole game was just funky from an offensive standpoint. Like Clyde comes out and opens the game
I
instead
was
of
just
Pop
about to say that.
and doesn't come in for a while, and then Jerick McKinnon doesn't come in for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, okay, well, why haven't they thrown to MVS? Why haven't they thrown to Sky Moore yet? It's like the whole thing was funky to me, dude, and I don't know if when Trav left, they were just like, I don't know, dude. It just seemed the whole thing seemed funky to me. Andy Reid coming off of a week 1, and that's what they put out there.
It almost looked like they were still in preseason mode.
It was weird to me,
Like they
man.
were
I don't
still
know.
It,
trying to check out their young guys, and
Clyde having 6
yeah.
carries versus Pop's
They
8. Like,
I'm talking
yeah.
about like you
I
look at the
mean,
first though. He had what 4 carries or 5 carries before Pop even had one.
he
yeah,
did, and he ended up basically not playing then, and we got away from the run because
Yeah,
we needed time. But
mm-hmm.
like it was it definitely looked sluggish. I know, like we were all on a group FaceTime for a good portion of that game, and Dom and I said 2 very similar things. When I first turned that fucking game on, and not once did I see Mahomes get hype, look in a good mood. He was over there like kind of
that's
like
enough.
this. And I'm not by any means putting this on him. He easily was the best Chief on the field, but like he's just kind of sitting there looking a little sluggish. That energy just didn't seem to be there from the jump. And Dom said something very similar with Kelsey, who he didn't play, but without those energy guys, man, like they just looked slow and like they were ready to give up, man. It was bad.
yeah.
I will
Mahomes
say,
even kind of referenced that in his post-game interview about how it's cool to do the Super Bowl banner and everything for the fans, but in his mind, he's like, I'm past that. Like, I'm not. He's like, I think he said he didn't even look at it.
yeah,
Because he's focused on this year.
yeah. I will say from a defensive standpoint, I did like what you saw out of McDuffie. He was involved. He led the team in tackles. Like, he was in there making
Mhm.
plays. I feel like
McDuffie
and
did
that's
look
what
good.
they need, right? Because Snead's not really playing that well, right?
Not
Like,
100%. Yeah.
they gotta have another guy.
Well, and like I mean, I look at it like that. I don't think the corner is a position. I don't think corner is a position they need somebody to step up necessarily. I mean, you think about it that they're 5 deep at corner right now. That have Super Bowl experience. They're 5 deep. So one guy. I mean, they played without one of those guys, at least one between McDuffie and Snead all year last year. McDuffie got hurt early on. Was that in the Arizona game, week 1?
I believe
Or
so.
early on, and he
Yeah,
missed
that was
several
week
weeks.
1.
I mean, he missed several weeks, and then Snead seems to miss games every year, which I think that's going to be why they don't bring him back, along with the depth that they have at corner. I think linebacker too. I also thought not to change the subject, but I thought a weird thing that was odd. I didn't see much of Drew Tranquil.
I noticed that
Yeah,
too.
one tackle, I think.
Yeah, I'm like, what in the hell's going on?
It was just a
Yeah.
weird game in general, like just funky. I mean, it's first game of the year, but
Yeah, I mean, I would say they should have been better, but to be totally honest, man, like again, not putting it all on one guy, but I mean, like we could have easily won that game.
Oh,
7 points were put on the board off of a drop pass, and then literally the same shit you saw against Buffalo with even less time. Kadarius Toney on a fucking 3rd and long, wide
That
open,
fake punt.
falls
the
right
fake
out of his
fucking
hand.
punt, yeah.
Fake punt was
The
ballsy.
fake punt
Yeah,
was huge. The
yeah,
momentum really shifted. But also, I will say, like we've been talking about the Chiefs a lot. Aiden Hutchinson's a beast.
He's a dog.
He will be a top defensive end in the league by the end of this year for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean,
he was in
he
there.
was impressive, but I know there's drama around Jawan Taylor, but I felt like for the situation he was in, it wasn't bad. I mean, Hutchinson was all over the place.
Jawan Taylor just ruined all the offensive tackle set drops. Their drop sets.
I
Man,
saw a video of like an ex NFL lineman though, like explaining it out in terms of like the written rule, and like when he explained it out by the written rule, he wasn't offsides because like you're given. I don't know it, so don't quote me on this, but it was something about you're given leeway to move a foot prior to the
had to be
snap.
like open to where the quarterback was or something. Mitch
Something
Moore
weird
talked
like
about
that,
it.
but yeah.
It definitely caused some controversy there. But yeah, he was really just doing a loophole in the rules. I mean, like it's some James Harden shit, right? James Harden doing his step back was different. People didn't like it, but it was technically legal, you know. No, I think kind of like Tanner said, moving over to Detroit. I thought Jahmyr Gibbs looked really good, and I'm surprised we didn't see more carries from him. I don't know if they're trying to keep him healthy or what. David Montgomery obviously was doing a great job, but every time Gibbs got the rock, dude, I felt like, oh shit, please get that motherfucker off the field. Like, that was crazy.
Dan Campbell did say after the game that he kind of had him on a snap count just to see how he would react to the NFL. But yeah, I think you're going to see him really becoming an impact player.
I mean, that's what Atlanta did yesterday, too, with Tyler Algier. Like, Algier had 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. That really should have gone to Bijan, but I think with these, especially with these running backs, they're going to take it a little slow.
Yeah, that was as a David Montgomery fantasy holder, I hope that a Jahmyr remains on a snap count.
As a Jahmyr fantasy holder, good. No.
Oh man, yeah, that was overall it was a good game, man. It sucks that the Chiefs took an L, but I'm not panicking like most people. I don't think it's like a huge deal. It's week 1, a lot of people gone, not an excuse.
And Chris Jones is back, baby.
Chris Jones is back.
Who they got week 2?
Oh yeah,
I don't know if he's going to
be signed today. He'll play. He might be limited, but I think he'll play.
Yeah, I think our D line actually looked okay. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying that I'm not happy as fuck that we got Chris Jones back. So of course I am, but I think they did a really good job without him. Defense only gave up 14 points, man. We should have won that game.
Just make sure
T-Log did blitzes, and yeah, definitely.
Just make sure T-Log doesn't have enough time to get it to Ridley, because man, oh man, Ridley looked good yesterday.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, definitely. Well, shit. Let's we'll move on down this list of games here. I'll go ahead and give scores. So like I said, we're watching the Monday night game right now, so that one's not filled yet. But for the first 15 games, score right now in the lead. This is getting old. Knock at 3 points. Tanner is leading this group. He's in second place. He is at 2.5 points, not too far behind. The man is balling. Handful of us are stuck at 1.5. Dominic and Caleb are at 1. Ross is at a 0.5 point. Dishman with the goose egg so far. I think he's hoping for a Buffalo win and a lot of points.
That's picking the Cowboys to be 6-11. I ain't got no ill will. But.
Oh yeah, he gonna see that.
I know.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we'll get to that. But anyways, man, Baltimore point was split between Marengo and Knock there. They ended up 25-9. 25-9. Score was 25-9. Cleveland took out Cincinnati. Wish we had more time to cover that, but that was just a shit show for Cincinnati. But I'm not mad about it. I thought Cleveland was going to win. Almost got the point, but Caleb took it 17-14. It was 24-3. Tampa Bay unfortunately beat Minnesota. That's one of 3 losses for Minnesota this year. And Knock was the only one who had Tampa there.
You're not just going to brush over that, like slide that in there.
I got to, man. I gotta jab when I can, man. But no, I'm still going to do the dance. Tennessee loses to New Orleans 16-15. Marengo took point for that. Carolina lost to Atlanta 24-10. Ross got himself a 0.5 point split with Dave. Jacksonville beat Indy 31-21. I took the point for that. I was only 4 points off. I knew they was going to score 31 week one. Called it. San Francisco beat the shit out of the Steelers 30-7. That was just an ass whooping, and Tanner won that solely because he's the only one who had the spread at 18.
Bro, that line was at 2.5. Like, that was the gimmiest of gimme plays, like, the whole weekend. How do you 2.5? What? We're just in the Super Bowl. Kenny Pickett, come on.
Yeah, that was disappointing. And I'll say Christian McCaffrey already making a statement for best running back play of the first game. That spin move was nasty.
Yeah,
and he stepped out.
Him and Bijan's play were amazing.
Oh yeah, Bijan had a really good one too. Washington beat Arizona 20-16. Josh got the point for that. He was 21-17. Philly takes out New England 25-20. That point went to Dave. He had 24-21. What a weird score. Vegas takes out the Broncos. Sorry ass Broncos. Y'all disappoint me even when I think you're going to win. 17-16 Vegas. Tanner took the point on that one. Miami took out the Chargers. I actually want to stop on this game because this was arguably game of the week. Probably not even arguably. I think that was the best game this week.
Tyreek a dog, son.
Tyreek. Yeah, Miami comes in, beats the Chargers 36-34. I had it 41-31. I split the point with Tanner, who had it 34-28. So we were both.
Bro, you look down the scores of that though, like everybody but like one person had that thing a barn burner, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we just knew, man. That's two of the best offenses with what should be on paper great defenses, but they did not show up in week one. But they're so stacked offensively. What'd you guys think of that game? What were your takeaways? Tanner, we'll throw it to you first.
I agree. Like, I think both defenses were terrible. The Dolphins had a few better schemes that they ran than the Chargers did, but the Chargers did not get after Tua at all, and that showed. I think the only way that you're going to mess with that offense this year is you're going to have to make him feel like he's really under pressure and scared to get hit. Because if he stands back there, I mean, you're not going to keep Tyreek contained. He's going to get away eventually, and he's going to put up 200 yards just like he did. I also think that part of the big thing for the Chargers is they had Eckler. That was it. I mean, Mike Williams spent half the game out. Quentin Johnson had one catch maybe. He was non-existent. They're going to have some more production and hope that the injuries don't become a thing. And the other thing, there was one thing I made note of. I don't know if anybody else watched it, but there was about a minute left in the first half, and the Dolphins threw a bomb, and it was just completely overthrown. And J.C. Jackson had a terrible, terrible pass interference. Put the ball down inside the 20-yard line, and then the Dolphins ultimately get a field goal right before half and end up winning the game by 2. So that right there. That's the game. You can't do that in that position. The ball was probably 7 yards overthrown, and he just ran right into him and knocked him to the ground. I think that was the defining play for me.
Yeah, I think both teams had some bad plays on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. When you're out there with Tyreek and that Chargers offense, I mean, that's tough. Tyreek was not doing too much in the first half, but man, that second half he just exploded. I unfortunately played Tyreek in fantasy this week. Let me tell you, I was up 35 points in my fantasy game. It said I was 90% chance to win. I had Jalen Waddle too. I had Jalen Waddle at that time. He was having a better game, and I fucking lost, dude. By a point, because Tyreek scored 42 points by the time it was said and done. He had 6 when I had checked before that. He just exploded, man.
Wow.
Tua had a good game. Let me hit some of these stats. So Tua was 28 for 45 and 466 yards. Wow, he's already passing leader of the season. After 1 week, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, but he did have 2 fumbles. One of them was lost, so that he could have cleaned that up. But it was a crazy game. Waddle still had 4 receptions for 76 yards. I mean, they balled. Who really
I may
stood
get
out for
canceled,
you?
dude. I gotta address this real quick though, man. I may get canceled for this, but it's gotta be addressed.
Uh-oh.
Like,
Ooh, boy.
how much of that, dude, is Tua as a passer, and how much of that is scheme and weapons around him, man? Because I saw the man the first quarter miss Tyreek wide open running down the field. That would have been a 80-yard touchdown. Missed him. He had to come back for the ball, and it was a mess. And you see these terrible throws every once in a while, not bad throws. You see these terrible throws, and it's every completion. Don't get me wrong, dude. I'm not saying he's a quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying he's terrible or anything, bro. But everybody's wide open. Everybody's wide open, and when they catch it, they're the fastest people on the field, and they just fucking run. And it's I guess people could say the same thing, but it looks a lot like it did with Alex Smith at Kansas City, man.
Yeah.
Not to the same extent because Andy didn't open it up like that, and we only had Tyreek as a weapon, but he's just getting open and getting the ball out into those guys' hands, and they're just running with it, dude. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but
I mean, every quarterback needs weapons. I mean,
I get that, dude, but you never question that with Tom. You were never oh, it's Tom's weapons. You were never oh, it's Aaron Rodgers' weapons. You were never like that.
I mean, Tom had some really good weapons.
Okay, but to this extent, though, and you weren't
didn't really have.
I mean,
he went with a fucking retired lacrosse player or some shit.
I mean, he had one of the best tight ends of all time. Same thing with Pat. Everybody.
Okay, but we're not bringing Pat Mahomes in. We're not doing
that. That's the gist of it, though. I mean, every quarterback needs weapons.
We're not doing that. Don't do that.
I
Without
definitely
great
agree
players,
with
you don't
what you
make
said
plays.
to some extent, though, Dom, because he.
I'm not knocking him at all.
He didn't
I'm
get
just saying.
pressured. I mean, there wasn't. So yeah, he had some bad throws, but the good ones, it wasn't like he was having to scramble out of the pocket and make a throw on the run. He had decent.
My man
time
dropped back, smacked the ball every time, and was just boom,
and
wide
Tyreek
open.
had some crazy catches. I'm not saying they were bad throws, but I think anytime throwing into double coverage, unless you're throwing to someone like Tyreek Hill, it's not really the best.
And you could say, now I could come back and pull up 15 clips of the ball in the air for an hour and Tyreek Hill running across the field under it when Pat threw it. I could do that. But it just looks different to me, man. And I think it's a credit to the coach, whoever's what's his face?
Mike McDaniel.
He draws the plays, right? He calls them.
Mm-hmm. I believe
Thanks,
so.
I mean, everybody's open, man, and that's scary in my opinion. Because you can bring pressure. It reminds me of Tom. We used to try to, as Chiefs fans, I felt like we played him every year, and we would bring pressure, and the ball he got rid of it every single time before you get there. And I see the same thing happening in Miami, dude. It's just those guys are open, and it's when they're going, it's like a rhythm, and it looks good, but. And I didn't mean that as a knock on Tua. I just think that they've got something going there, and I think it's deeper than him just as a passer throwing for 500 yards.
Well, last year they were in the same position, weren't they? 8-0 or something. He was leading the league in passing yards until the injuries.
Yeah, no. If he stays healthy this year, man, they could be a real threat if they don't figure them out like they say they did to Mahomes. We'll see if he can be adaptable if that's the case, because. I think Dom's onto something there too, but we'll see, man. We'll see. You think Herbert is worth that contract now?
But he looked pretty good, man. I don't know. Maybe you could say the same thing because he got it to Eckler, and Eckler made a lot of stuff happen. But I don't know, man. I thought they looked pretty good. As a Chiefs fan who's gonna have to play them a couple times, I'm they hung in there, man.
They ran for 234 yards at 5.9 a clip. That's pretty dang good. But against the Dolphins, I don't know if you can keep that up because they're going to just score points.
And you have
else maybe in the league. I think that works in their favor more times than none.
If they stay healthy, they'll be that offense like similar to Pat's first season as a starter, where he just was going crazy, and as long as the offense was going, we were good. Um,
Yeah.
that's
I
what
mean,
that offense reminds me of. They were just scoring so quick.
you can argue the Chargers probably have the best like skill group in the NFL. I mean, 3 top-notch wide receivers. One Quentin gets going.
He will be
Gerald Everett's a solid tight end, like underrated.
the best two skilled running back in the league, in my opinion, from a pass catch. I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, maybe not Christian McCaffrey from like a skill standpoint, but like he fits their scheme better than McCaffrey fits San Francisco's scheme. You could argue, and yeah, dude, they're kind of scary.
The issue is going to be the defense for them. Like you said, 0 sacks on Tua.
Which
that can't
is
happen.
With the pass rush that they have.
Yeah,
like they got Khalil Mack, Derwin James, Bosa's back. Like,
but was that? I mean, that was kind of their issue last year too. Is they had flashes of being that high-powered team, but then they had lots of issues. Like Brandon Staley really kind of screwed stuff up. He's gonna. I mean, there's those plays that he's given up, like those 4th downs that they should have been top 3 team in the AFC last year, and they barely squeaked into the playoffs, and then we saw what happened.
Gave up a fucking 1,000,000-point lead.
I mean, kind of transitioning from them, but one thing to kind of look at next week. I was kind of looking at the lines next week, and I know the Titans kind of have a good defense or whatever, but the Chargers are going in there -3, over under at 46.5. I kind of like the Chargers in that and the over. Good defense or not, they only got to score. I mean, I think they're definitely going to score at least 24, and they could easily score 30.
it could be a
And
36-10 game. Like,
and there you go. So I think that's a line to look at next week if you're wanting to gamble a little bit. But I'm not don't take my advice or anything like that. I'm not a financial advisor, so lose your money at your own risk.
definitely don't take my picks.
But I will say though, John, what was my money line this week?
Yeah, so
I want to miss that.
So Dom, while only having 1 point, which came from the Dallas game, this man's he is leading this week so far, and he's 11-4 out of 15 games. Pretty solid. He is the money line guy. He would have been doing pretty good for you this week. So with that, he clinches at least a tie for the week. Right behind him, let me pull this back up. So right behind him, we have Caleb, actually 10-5. So unless Caleb gets the win tonight, do you guys have the same team? Oh, you guys got the same team. Yeah, so Dom clinches this one, guys. That's 11.
So what? Run that by me.
You are at 11-4 on the week. Caleb is 10-5. He's right behind you, but you guys both have the Jets winning tonight, so you clinch this week no matter what. So good job, bud. Should have had more points in there, man. Tanner's not too far behind, 9-6 on the week, 2.5 points. Ross and I are both 8-7, so sitting at about 500 right now.
Yeah, not very good on my picks this weekend. It was rough.
I was doing good in the morning games, but dude, I lost almost every single one of the afternoon games. I had Denver, I had Chicago, I had Seattle, and I had the Giants.
Bro, that Tennessee loss really screwed me. They go in, they're down in the red zone with like 2.5 left, and they kick a field goal.
Who dat?
Bro,
Oh
go
my
for the
God.
touchdown there, but it is what it is.
They only have 4 teams on their schedule this year that had a winning record last year.
Who?
New Orleans.
Oh yeah, Derek Carr didn't look too bad.
He's always been good on offense.
Yeah, that last throw he made was pretty clutch at the end, right there down the sideline. That was a really good throw. But
yeah, I expected a little bit more from Williams in that game. But,
yeah, they're gonna need Kamara, I feel like, to really ramp up that offense.
Yeah. Well, either way, I'll run through these last couple. So Green Bay at Chicago, they win 38-20. Holy shit, right? Damn, that screen is hella wide. I'm sorry, guys. But anyways, that was a split point by Knock and Josh there. They both had 27-24 for that. Score was so fucking off for everybody that game. Rams at Seattle. They whooped them 30-13. Knox took the point for that. He had 28-13, so pretty close there actually.
Yeah, that was
Not
that.
mad at that.
I think that was my surprise of the week of the day was Seattle coming out there and losing like that to the Rams. But
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Don't you worry. I'll give you more if you got an actual surprise. We're gonna save that for last. But
all right.
Dallas at New York Giants. We have made it to Ross's favorite part of the show, where he gets to talk about his team winning against the New York fake ass Giants.
Bro, they looked horrible.
Ross, I'm just gonna throw it to you first.
Let's
Actually,
go.
hold on. No, I don't. Not to steal your spotlight, but Dominic got the point for this. He had 30-17.
He is.
Dallas obviously won 40-0. Dom is a smart man. He's already left before Ross could get started on this.
He don't have anything to say. He'll say happy wife, happy life. Taylor got the dub. That's all that matters to him.
Hey, and he got a point for us. Can't be mad. But no,
Well,
Ross, go ahead. He'll be back at some point.
I mean, there's not much to say. You can go two different ways on how you look at the game. You can look at it from a irrational standpoint of, okay, Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. They won 40-0. Like, you can go that side of things, which typically I would probably go that way. But being a Cowboys fan, I think you have to err on a side of caution and look at two different things. Okay, how did they score 40 points? And then how did they look overall as a team? On two sides of the ball, they looked extremely great. The defense showed up. I think that's going to be your top defense in the league. Special teams showed up, two block kicks, I believe, and one first score. Offense didn't get it rolling, was probably fairly mediocre. I mean, let's just be honest how it is. Did not show out. And I think, you see that with like the Cincinnati game, the KC game, the Dallas game. Like those offenses should be really top 5 in the NFL, but they just didn't come out first game of the year with whatever reason why it just didn't click this first game. So I think looking into next week, you have the Jets, which now may not be as big of a game if Aaron's not playing.
I have a report real quick from a reliable source that Aaron Rodgers walked off the cart and walked into the tent. So that doesn't mean much, but that kind of and Breece Hall, I'm pretty sure, just ran from the 5-yard line like an 80-yarder down into the Buffalo Bills. So I mean they're sticking around, but I think that is a huge plus for Cowboys rolling into week 2. I mean. You gotta assume he's not gonna play if they put him on a cart, it's got to be halfway serious.
Like I love the idea of Dallas front 7 versus Zach Wilson, 100 times better than Aaron versus that front 7. Like Zach Wilson,
it looked like last night.
Ooh, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's err on the side of caution and hold the celebrations, hold the overreaction takes of what the boys can be. I think it was a solid game. I want to see a better, fuller, complete game, obviously, with all 3 sides of the balls. But I mean, they won 40-0. So what's not to like about that, though?
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't be mad. I will say I was very surprised with how they won 40-0. Like the defense was phenomenal. It was like we knew they were going to be good. They were better than that, right? Special teams would have blocked. That was great. But I was looking at this. I'm like, Dak was 13-24 for 143 yards, no touchdowns, and a 72.0 passer rating.
Nope.
That's worse than Patrick Mahomes' passer rating this week. And I was just surprised. I'm not saying like not bad on Dak or anything like that. Like he was terrible. He didn't throw any fucking picks, which is great. But like I was just surprised.
My man said he wasn't going to throw 10. You heard what he said.
He's like, I just ain't going to throw.
Hey.
You want to talk about I'm just saying, you want to talk about an Alex Smith-like character right there. That's playing your – actually, no, Alex Smith has a better completion percentage. But,
there was just a combination of things. Like the weather may have played a factor. It was raining. It's really tough to throw in the rain. I mean, anybody can't, be perfect like that. But
Yeah.
I just think
Except Pat'll spin it at anything. But go ahead.
I mean, okay, whatever. But
He's a snow game guy.
it just felt like they couldn't get in a rhythm offensively. Like just couldn't for some reason.
They didn't have
I mean,
the
they're
ball
up
long enough.
21-0. Yeah, they didn't have the ball for the first 20 minutes of the
Yeah.
game. Like,
The rhythm of that whole game, because it got out of hand so fast, like you do have to take that into consideration. Like so much of offense, especially at that level, is rhythm and getting into a flow. And like when you're anticipating getting the ball after your defense, and then you sit there for like the whole first quarter, like that's your whole script at that point is probably out the window. Whatever you planned on coming in, those plays aren't going to be the same now because you're up 3 scores or whatever, 2 scores. So like. I do have to give a little bit of leeway, but yeah, Dak was terrible.
Well, I think all of Dak's yards pretty much came from the two drives that the offense did get points. And those drives weren't, I mean, they were long, drawn-out drives that if they could string a few more of those together, I think it wouldn't be as bad. But, just the timing of everything and the lack of having the ball in the first half because of the turnovers and the defensive scores really threw him off.
Pollard balled out, though.
Yeah. There was a point there I'm like, I kind of want New York to score 7 or 10 here to kind of, keep it a little bit more interesting so that way the offense could, still press a little bit more to try to get in that rhythm. But they really didn't. And then they ended up pulling pretty much everybody a quarter into the fourth quarter. Like it was pretty early that they went in there.
Terrible. Call it what it was. He was terrible.
Dude, they were so terrible. I mean, people were upset with us on social media because of how bad we had New York doing.
Oh
hell!
God. I knew he was coming up with something.
People were upset about
it.
I mean, Cooper Rush was 0 for 1, so might be time to switch up your backup.
Yep, get him out of here. 0-1. No, man. Dude, I don't know why they paid so much money to those Giants players, man.
Bro,
for real. Like to come out and do that, people were mad on social talk about, oh, you guys got the Giants so bad. How could you possibly invest in such good players and get worse?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't look good at all. Where was Kayvon Thibodeau? Where was Leonard
You can't
Williams?
put up 3 points. So if it's raining, it's ass off, right?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a run-heavy game. Don't you think the Giants are even more in it?
Yep. I mean,
hypothetically, I understand Dallas was favored to win, rightfully so. But
that offensive line was atrocious. It was terrible.
Dude, Saquon looked like he was ready to give up after he fumbled that shit.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm done.
I mean, they had that pick six, whatever, fumble, pick six, whatever, where it popped up and old buddy caught it and ran it for a touchdown. That was like, 2 plays in a row that basically happened. I mean, you have to block field goal and then that's just deflating, man.
The thing, though, is if the Cowboys scored that many points, how many possessions did you fuck up to score 0? It's not like you lost 17-0 and the clock got ran out. You lost 40-0. Your quarterback had 104 yards and 2 picks.
Yep.
32.4 rating.
5 fumbles.
5 fumbles.
5 fumbles.
Saquon had 12 carries for 51 yards. They had 0 sacks on defense, 0 picks. 0, it was atrocious. It was terrible. Meanwhile, Dallas defense, 7 sacks, 12 QB hits, a pick 6 with a total of 2 picks.
And no turnovers.
Blocked kick for a touchdown. No turnovers.
I'm going to say 7 or 8.
That is an ass beating. What'd you say?
7 or 8. Yeah, 7 or 8.
7.
Yeah,
7
it
sacks.
was. They couldn't be blocked, basically. I mean, then the second half, you had backups getting sacks. That's how bad it was.
Even when the starters were in, I think one of the things that impressed me the most is there were a lot of young, fresh guys on that defense that were making some big plays early on.
Yep.
Especially in that secondary.
Yeah, and they have really good experience. I mean, Mike has been in the league for 3 years, but it feels like he's been there for 10. That's how he's playing right now. And then you have DeMarcus Lawrence, who's been there forever.
We're missing a huge one though too, which I think is going to be massive. because I think it frees up. I think it gives you a guy that you can put on a number one receiver and not necessarily be subject to, like, don't get me wrong, the same things that make him, that you knock him for, make him great in terms of Trayvon Diggs, getting greedy and jumping balls, and you see him get taken advantage of at times. But I think Stephon Gilmore to that defense is huge, man. Like, people
Can't go
forget, like,
opposite of
he
Trayvon
was,
anymore.
you can't, and I think that now you're going to see guys have to go. Like, I mean, which one do you go at?
Yeah.
I mean, because like Stephon Gilmore was that guy just 4 years ago. So
Yeah, it was
He's
like
still that guy. He had a pick last night.
2 or 3 years ago. He was Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, that was about 3. Like, I think it was a little longer.
You know who had a really kind of sneaky good night last night? Maybe not on the stat sheet, but Mozzie Smith really, I think, freed up Micah a lot. I think there were times where the middle of the offensive line was really struggling with him, and then Micah was just getting chipped, and he was on Daniel Jones before Daniel Jones even turned around.
That's been their like weakest spot for the last few years, is that interior defense line. Now they have Mozzie Smith, Osa Digizula, who had a really good game. I probably butchered that last name. And then they Jonathan Hankins played really well. They got some guys in the interior that are going to free up those outside guys really well. I feel like just eat it up blocks.
Yeah. So Ross, we know obviously you guys won 40-0 this week, but do you believe in Mike McCarthy? Because they said he's calling the offensive plays now, right?
I mean, yeah, that was the one spot of the game where it's like, okay, you can't really get in a rhythm. I will say a lot of the, and maybe it's just the commentators commentating, but they did say that a lot of the guys they've talked to really feel like Mike McCarthy's back in his element of, what he did with Aaron for so many years. Just instead of being the head coach, being the problem guy, dealing with everything, he's out here just calling plays. Like that's what every coach wants to do. So he's kind of back in that. So we'll see.
He's going to do it with Dak like he did with Aaron. Because that's
I mean, any coach that has Aaron's going to look good, but
maybe Aaron.
I think it'll end up being okay. And I would like to see Tony wasn't involved in the passing game as much as I thought, but that was just, game flow and how it was working in. So we'll see. Because I had 15 plus receiving yards and he only got 9. So I wanted to see more yards, of course.
Yeah, wow. No, they'll be good this year. What did I say? 11-6 and 5 seed sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah, I think with Philly, it's interesting, and not to talk about another game, but Philly they were winning pretty early and then let who do they even play?
New England. Yeah, I mean, dude, New England's known for their defense. New England made adjustments.
And nobody's talking about how that was Tom Brady's like Hall of Fame induction. Like the energy in that stadium had to be crazy.
It's the first game in how many years that Tom Brady hasn't played on a Sunday?
Well, I'll say this: since we got onto that game, I'll go ahead and give the viewers another little nugget here. Again, I'm not a financial person or a guru, so don't take any advice from me. But that game, I'm liking the lines at that one. You could take Miami right now at -2.5
against
New England. Okay. I know that's a divisional game. They always play tough. Sometimes New England gets them, but I think especially coming off the performance they just came off of, that game, 2.5, you could take a money line at -135 just to win the game.
Where's it at Miami?
No, it's at New England. But think about that, dude. You get 3 points for being the home team, and Miami's only 2.5. So they're saying that like it's not like I don't know, dude. At -135, I'm taking them all day, and I'll take them at -112 for the 2.5 spread. And just piggybacking off of that, another one that I like, -200 that you can get some money back on. Since we want to provide some value to this, so if you want to make a come up, you can. The Saints. I like the Saints. I'm only going off of -200 or less money line. Saints at Carolina, -166. I like them. I think that they're going to handle Carolina pretty well. I think their defense is pretty good. and you're going to see them chomp down. I also like whoever the heck Green Bay is playing. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Atlanta.
That was another. That was another money line that you could take minus 200 right now, less than minus 200, minus 100 something. So I like Green Bay. I think it's at Atlanta maybe. But those are 3 road teams that I like to cover the spread and win or money line, whatever you want to do.
All right. Don't take it like not a financial.
We're gonna give
Do
Dom
not take my advice for anything. But I was 11-4 this week, so.
No, man, a lot of good games going on. Right now it's 3-3 with the Buffalo-New York game. Best of luck to you fellas on getting that last point of the week. Appreciate all of you for jumping on, and until next week, y'all have a good one.
God bless Zach Wilson. Let's get this money, baby.